Hey guys, Sam here once again for another road to top 100 here in Pokemon Duel. Not really sure what the intro should be. I've tried this intro like 3 times. I screwed it up and I'm like, once again please. Anyway, today we are here against maybe not that standard deck. I mean, you don't really see Mew that often anymore. But other than Mew and Mimikyu, this is, just a pretty much meta deck that you will see most of the times. I open up with my Tapu Koko, and my opponent does the same thing that I did in the previous video, where you put it in the middle. I, however, put my Tapu Koko on my goal, since I kind of want to, have a feel for the matchups. And, against the Mimikyu, I go for my own Zapdos. Even if it has the Lunala, for my Lunala, I have the Sableye. For the Deoxys, I go for my own Lunala, which is pretty good. Let's just go ahead and see what happens. The Deoxys, even if it's 140, it's not really going to do that much. And if I put my Sableye on the field, it's just going to be way worse, because that is going to be a 100% loss situation for him if we were to roll both of the whites. This is always pretty good, kind of threatening the surround, because now he has Deoxys and Zapdos that way, kind of to deal with the Lunala. And that's really not going to be that effective. Now, I put my figure there to kind of threaten to confuse or burn the Lunala. My opponent actually does something, kind of smart, and decides to go for the block as well as the matchup. And I'm like, oh man, okay, so my Sableye is burnt. I'm like, okay, this is not really that great. I move my Sableye out of the way, because if the Lunala lands on the Moongeist Beam, I don't want it, or her, whatever, to get rid of the Sableye, since it's my best counter against it. However, I get a super lucky roll, double Leaf Blade, and even if burned, the chain levels actually win me that matchup, so that's pretty good. The Mimikyu decides to go for my Sableye. I'm not really sure why that was. I, however, become cursed, and this is an important thing for later, as you will see, because there's a really nice interaction that I didn't know about before, but that actually, maybe even won me the matchup, and I'll, tell you what it is, after a couple of minutes. Anyway, decides to go defensive with a Mimikyu. I take this opportunity to go with my Sceptile. Since it's burnt and cursed, I only want to take advantage of him, being, an obstacle to enter the board, since I really don't want to risk him that much. So, my opponent goes for the Tapu Koko. We both get the Melee Wish, or the blue attack. I go defensive, and he decides to attack it once again. Let's see, what do I get? These are pre-recorded, these are not live recorded like episodes 1 and 2, where I can stop something because my recordings actually expired, or my dual tags, whatever. So I get pretty lucky roll right here. I'm like, okay, so you want to go Koko versus Koko, let's go ahead and battle that out. So here is where the Sableye actually wins me this matchup. My opponent goes like, maybe I won't re-roll that shit, and I'm like, peace. So this is super good for me. I go for the Mimikyu, kind of, expecting something great. I get the ability off, which is super nice. And other than that, I am just kind of waiting to see what my opponent does. So he goes for the Lunala. I take my opportunity to go for, I believe, with my Lunala to double chance that. And this is exactly why I take the white over the Moongeist Beam. Because I just like, I feel safer attacking things like Zapdos, when I have my white all the way maxed out. So that ends up paying off. So that's pretty good. Anyway, so here he decides to max revive the Deoxys, and that is kind of a, bad move. Even if he attacks my Zapdos, which I think ends up being knocked out, if I take the other entry point with my Lunala, he can't really do that much, because obviously, he can't win that matchup since I have my Sableye on the field. And, I go like, okay, so let's go ahead and try this out. Peace. And let's see, what do we get? What do we get? Okay, the 70 against the 69, which is, obviously going to win me the matchup. He decides to re-roll into the Will-O-Wisp. Oh my fucking god, dude. Anyway, not too great, but I have my double chance. I get the Moongeist Beam, which is even better. Well, I mean, white or 2-star purple is just, fine. And, okay, so he starts to be extremely defensive right here. So I want to knock out the Mew just so he has, less figures to work with. He goes for the double chance. I didn't notice this, so check it out. My Sceptile is cursed. That means if I lose this matchup, I am, 5v6. But since the Moongeist Beam, and by the way, I think my opponent forgot about this. He's like, yes, cursed the okay. So what happened is that I think since Moongeist Beam sends you, the text says it sends you to the PC, you don't actually get knocked out, and that is what actually saved my not my Sableye, my Sceptile from being excluded from the game. So I was super happy. At first I was extremely confused. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? But yeah, that's exactly what happened when I was reviewing the fucking video. Anyway, I burned the Tapu Koko. Status effects on Tapu Koko aren't really that great, burn, paralysis, or whatever, because he only misses that little dodge segment that he has, and, to compare matchup, it isn't really that great. I'm not really sure why he did this with a Mimikyu. I mean, he's completely going to lose this. Maybe he was expecting like a curse or something, but, didn't really work according to plan with my opponent. I start threatening this bullshit, and I'm like, okay, cover your stuff, please. I go for the attack on the Tapu Koko since it's burned. I don't have my Tapu Koko in the field, so I can't actually attack the Lunala. Or, I can, I just don't feel super safe doing it. Now, let's see, what do I do here? I think I max revive something, and it's going to be... yes, my Tapu Koko, because, I put him on the, kind of defensive side here. And I think right here, I just want to get rid of the Mew first to kind of, go for the, little offensive move. However, my Zapdos ends up being knocked out. And here, I tried to go for the Mew. I'm like, please, please, please. And what do we get? Ah, fucking blue. Anyway, not too bad. Let's see, the Zapdos is going to... I'm not really sure why that was, but, whatever. I go for the max revive with my Zapdos because now that I have my Tapu Koko, I can threaten the Lunala and, kind of go like, okay, so if you want to battle it out, let's go ahead and, try this out. Not really sure what I want to say. Since I have my, my white maxed out, I'm feeling pretty confident about this. I, however, get the unlucky Will-O-Wisp. I'm like, that's completely fine. At this point, I think I have one more max revive. I don't exactly remember my plates. But I put my Sableye into this, and I am completely fine doing it because I... sorry. because I potentially wanted my Sableye to get surrounded just so I can get my Sceptile, but that worked even better, right? He tries to go for the Tapu Koko. I'm not really sure why that was. Maybe you want the yellow into my purple. I, however, get the white. It's super, super lucky right now. And, yeah, just knock out the Tapu Koko for an easy knockout. Let's see, what do I do? So I take the entry point. I really like the matchup that I have here with the Sableye, with my Zapdos, and he starts to go for the Mimikyu. We get this annoying ability once again, and I go for this. I think I attack the Deoxys, kind of, get him confused, but I get something even better at the first time, and I don't know why my opponent didn't actually make me respin. But I am not going to complain. That's completely fine. I obviously take the other entry point, and I want to start threatening the goal with my Zapdos. Since I have my Koko on the field, I'm feeling pretty confident about this. Not really sure why he went for this matchup, but I get the lucky Jet Kick. I was pretty scared right here because I thought that I was going to move 2 spaces away. But the text actually reads that if you knock out a Pokemon, I believe, that you move 2 spaces away. So I'm completely safe with that, matchup against the Mimikyu. So it wasn't really that bad. And I'm like, okay, nice. So the only thing he can do is attack and hope to get a yellow into my purple. And that doesn't happen, which gives me the neutral matchup for the win. So, yeah, a little bit of a longer video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this analysis. I think the next 2 are going to be even better. So, yeah, I think I also BM a little bit right here. No, I don't, since I actually get knocked out. So I'm like, okay, no BM this time around. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for another awesome matchup. It's going to be a little bit more intense, and hopefully you enjoyed it. I'll see you tomorrow.